Okay, so you know how everyone says the SUV market is getting kind of stale?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you get this article about the 2025 Nissan Murano, and suddenly things get interesting.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking a full redesign here, not just like a new paint job or something.
Right.
This article's throwing around words like radical and vanguardist, which, those are some bold claims.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got our attention, Red, so we got to dive in.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to see how this redesign reflects some larger trends we're seeing in the auto industry.
Okay, how so?
Well, the Murano's been around since 2002.
Yeah.
Known for being stylish, comfortable.
Not exactly known for being cutting edge.
Yeah, exactly. But now they're taking cues from their electric Aria, that really sleek EV.
Oh, yeah, that thing's sharp.
Right. So it's like they're trying to bridge the gap between their gas-powered vehicles and their electric ones, even though this new Murano, at least for now, isn't fully electric.
Yeah, that's the big question mark, right? Like, is this leading up to a hybrid or even a fully electric Murano down the line?
Exactly.
But for now, let's stick with what we do know.
Okay.
And that's the exterior.
Mm-hmm.
This article keeps using words like sculpted and futuristic to describe it, and I gotta say, looking at the pictures, those new headlights and that grille, they're pretty sharp.
It's not just about aesthetics, though. Aerodynamics plays a huge role these days.
Even on SUVs.
Oh, yeah. Even small improvements to a vehicle's drag coefficient, how easily it cuts through the air, that can have a pretty significant impact on fuel efficiency.
How interesting.
And then there are the full-width LED taillights in the back.
Those do look pretty slick.
They do. And beyond the style, they improve visibility, which is a big plus for safety, especially in a larger vehicle like an SUV.
Okay, so we've gone from a sleek new exterior to what's inside. The article hypes up the interior, of course, maximal comfort, high-quality materials.
Sure.
But honestly, haven't we heard all that before?
Right.
What really caught my eye was this whole dual-screen setup they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, is that just a gimmick?
Yeah.
Or are we all going to be driving cars with spaceship-style dashboards soon?
I mean, dual screens are definitely having a moment, but I think Nissan's implementation here is interesting.
Okay, how so?
So imagine this. One screen is dedicated to all your essential driving information, so your speedometer, fuel gauge, all that.
Right in front of you, easy to see.
Exactly, crystal clear. And then the other screen, that's a touch screen, and that's seamlessly integrated to handle your navigation, your entertainment, climate control, all that.
Okay, so it's not just about having more screens, it's about using them in a way that makes sense.
Right, exactly. Minimizing distractions, not adding to them.
Makes sense.
And they're not skimping on the tech integration either.
Yeah, the article mentions something about Google being built in, which is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it's huge.
We're talking Google Assistant, so you can use voice commands for everything.
Right.
Google Maps for navigation, obviously.
Seamlessly integrated.
And even over-the-air updates. So your car can actually get smarter over time.
This is one of the biggest things to happen to cars in a while.
Right. I mean, it's like having the latest smartphone, but it's your car.
Exactly. And this is where that line between car and smartphone really starts to blur.
Yeah.
Those over-the-air updates mean Nissan can push out software improvements, new features even, long after you've driven off the lot.
So you're not stuck with whatever tech you had when you bought the car. It can actually evolve.
Precisely. It's a game changer, especially in today's world where tech is constantly evolving.
Okay. Enough tech talk for a sec. Let's get to what's under the hood, because this is where things get a little mysterious.
Right.
The article was a bit vague here, but it sounds like the Murano might be saying goodbye to its old V6 engine.
Interesting.
Which, if you're a car person, that's a big deal.
It's huge. The V6 has been a workhorse for so long, so this potential switch to a turbocharged four-cylinder, it tells us a lot about where Nissan's priorities are with this redesign.
And what's that?
Fuel efficiency. Turbocharging a smaller engine, it lets you get similar power to a larger engine, but with the added benefit of using less fuel.
So you get the performance without guzzling gas.
Exactly. And the article even hinted at the possibility of a hybrid system.
Ooh, okay.
Now, they were being very coy about whether it would be a mild hybrid or a plug-in hybrid.
Right.
But either way, it's clear they're trying to appeal to a more, eco-conscious driver.
Yeah, someone who wants to be mindful of their environmental impact without sacrificing performance.
Exactly.
Which is a tough balance to strike.
It is, and this is where Nissan has a chance to really stand out in the SUV market.
Right, because there are a lot of SUVs out there that try to do the whole eco-friendly thing, but then they end up feeling sluggish or underpowered. So if Nissan can nail that balance between performance and fuel efficiency, especially with a hybrid system.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a real game changer for them.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
So we've got sleek design, we've got tech integration that make Tesla jealous, and a powertrain that's still a bit of a mystery.
A little bit of intrigue.
What's your gut feeling so far? Is the 2025 Murano living up to the hype based on what we've seen?
I think it's definitely shaping up to be a major departure for the Murano.
Okay.
They're embracing technology, they're pushing boundaries with the design, and they're at least hinting at a commitment to electrification.
Right.
The big question will be execution.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Can Nissan deliver on all these promises without compromising on the things that made the Murano popular in the first place?
Right, because you don't want to alienate your existing customer base.
Exactly.
The people who already love the Murano for what it is.
You got it. It's a delicate balance, for sure.
It really is. And speaking of things that could make or break a car, let's talk safety, because this article, for all the hype, was surprisingly light on details there.
Okay, yeah, that's important.
They did mention Nissan's ProPilot Assist system, though.
Right, which, I mean, that's becoming almost expected in this category these days, it seems like.
So what is it? Break it down for us.
So it's basically Nissan's suite of driver assistance features.
Yeah.
You've got your adaptive cruise control, which adjusts your speed based on the traffic around you.
Okay.
Lane keeping, which helps you stay in your lane, even if you start to drift a little,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. It's designed to make driving a little easier, a little less stressful.
But I feel like we've heard about these systems before.
You're right, and that's the thing. What's going to set Nissan apart isn't necessarily having those features, but how well they're integrated and how smoothly they function in real-world driving conditions.
Because, let's be honest, nobody wants a system that's beeping at them every 5 seconds or like suddenly slamming on the brakes for no reason.
Exactly. It needs to be seamless, it needs to be intuitive, otherwise it's just annoying.
Totally. And the article mentioned some of the more like basic safety tech too, like blind spot monitoring, parking sensors.
And classics.
Yeah. It's funny because with all this talk of self-driving cars and all this advanced tech, we forget about the stuff that actually helps you avoid fender benders on a daily basis.
And those features are still crucial. I mean, think of it as a layered approach to safety.
Okay, I like...
You've got your basic features that help prevent those, everyday mishaps. And then the more advanced systems, they act as a safety net in more critical situations.
It's like having backup for your backup.
Exactly. You want to be prepared for anything.
For all this talk about futuristic tech and design, sometimes, I don't know, it's like we forget that driving is supposed to feel good too.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't just mean like comfortable seats and a smooth ride, although that's important, but like engaging, like does this car make you actually want to drive it?
You're talking about that visceral connection between the driver and the machine.
Exactly.
It's that feeling of being completely in sync with the car, almost like it's an extension of yourself.
Yeah. And it seems like, based on this article at least, Nissan gets that because they're really playing up the whole driving dynamics aspect of the new Murano.
They are.
So what are we picking up on here? We talked about the possibility of a turbocharged engine, which, that could add some pep.
Sure.
But what else goes into creating that feeling of engagement behind the wheel?
Well, suspension is a huge part of it.
Okay, suspension, so like how the car handles bumps and dips and all that.
Exactly. Think of it like this. The suspension is kind of the unsung hero of a great driving experience.
Okay, I like that.
A well-tuned suspension, it finds that sweet spot between sporty handling so you can take those corners with confidence, but also a comfortable ride because nobody wants to feel every single bump in the road.
Right, you don't want to get rattled around like a marble in a tin can.
Exactly. Now, this article, it doesn't dive into specifics about the Murano's suspension setup.
Yeah, they were being kind of vague about that.
They were, but knowing their target audience, I'd say it's a safe bet that they're going for a balanced approach.
Something that can handle both a winding road and a bumpy city street.
Precisely.
See, that makes sense.
And then there's another thing the article mentioned that I think is worth highlighting.
Okay, what's that?
NVH.
NVH.
Yeah, it stands for noise, vibration, and harshness.
Okay, I gotta be honest. Those don't sound like things I want in a car.
Right. But think about it this way. Those are all things that can detract from a truly luxurious driving experience.
Okay.
Imagine you're cruising down the highway, you've got your favorite podcast on, and all you can hear is wind noise and tire roar.
Oh yeah, I've been in those cars. It's not fun.
It's not a premium experience, is it? So Nissan's focus on NVH, It suggests they're putting a lot of effort into sound insulation, creating a quieter cabin.
Which can make a world of difference, especially on long drives.
Absolutely. I mean, who wants to arrive at their destination with a pounding headache from all that noise?
Not me. Okay, so we've got a quiet cabin, a smooth ride. That's a good start.
It is.
But what about steering feel? And I know this might sound weird, but I want to feel the road, you know? I don't want it to feel like I'm steering a boat.
I get it. You want that feedback, that sense that you're connected to the road.
Yes. Like the car and I are working together, not against each other.
You're not alone. Steering feel is absolutely essential for that feeling of connection between driver and machine.
It's like the difference between like playing a video game with a really responsive controller and one that's like laggy and unresponsive.
Perfect analogy. And while, again, this article doesn't go into specifics,
Right.
I think it's safe to assume that Nissan is putting in the work to improve steering feedback and responsiveness in the new Murano.
So when you turn the wheel, the car actually responds the way you expect it to.
Exactly. And that makes you feel more confident, more in control, which ultimately makes for a more enjoyable driving experience.
It's funny, right? Because for a while, it felt like all car makers cared about was efficiency and tech.
Yeah,
Like they forgot that people actually enjoy the act of driving.
it did feel that way for a while.
But I feel like we're starting to see a shift back to focusing on the driving experience.
I agree. I think there's a rediscovering of the simple joy of driving happening.
Yeah, like people still want a car that's smart and efficient, but they also want it to be a pleasure to sit in and fun to drive.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance.
Right, and it sounds like that's what Nissan's trying to do with the 2025 Murano.
I think so. It's shaping up to be a really compelling package. Stylish, tech-savvy, and potentially even engaging behind the wheel.
And let's not forget practical. We can't get so caught up in horsepower and handling that we forget about the everyday stuff.
Right.
Like, is there enough space for passengers? How's the cargo room? You know, all the things that make an SUV actually useful for more than just looking good.
Absolutely. And thankfully, the article does suggest that Nissan hasn't forgotten about those practical considerations.
Okay, good.
They emphasize a spacious and well-designed interior. They talk about high-quality materials, all those things that contribute to a comfortable and versatile cabin.
Okay, so it's not just all about flash. There's some substance there, too.
Exactly.
Because I'm imagining family road trips here, right? You need enough space for luggage, snacks, maybe a couple of arguing kids in the back seat.
Oh, absolutely. And while, again, they didn't give us exact dimensions based on previous Murano models, I think it's safe to say they're aiming for a competitive amount of cargo space and passenger room.
Yeah, if it's anything like the previous models, it should be pretty decent.
Yeah.
Which is reassuring because a car can be stylish and fun to drive. But if it's cramped and uncomfortable, those long drives are going to be miserable.
Oh yeah, you're preaching to the choir here. Comfort and practicality are absolutely crucial for any SUV that wants to be taken seriously, especially for families or anyone who values versatility.
Okay, so far so good. We've got a good feeling about the driving experience. The practicality seems to be there.
Seems promising.
But let's get down to the nitty-gritty, the stuff you can actually see and touch, the interior.
Right, the details.
What's this article saying about the interior design and features of the 2025 Murano? So we've talked about the tech, the driving experience, even how spacious the interior is supposed to be.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But there's one big question I bet you're thinking.
How much is this all gonna cost?
Exactly. We can geek out about all the bells and whistles, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the price tag's a big deal.
It's make or break for a lot of buyers.
Totally.
Yeah.
And this is where I think Nissan's got a tough needle to thread, right?
Sure.
They got to price the 2025 Murano competitively enough that people are actually going to choose it over, you know, all the other SUVs out there.
Tons of competition.
Right. But also got to be priced high enough to, like, reflect all this new tech, the upgraded design.
Right. They've got to make it clear this is a premium vehicle.
Yeah, exactly. They've got to sell that premium feel.
Because if it's too cheap, people might not take it serious.
Exactly. Like, oh, a cheap Nissan, what's a catch?
Yeah.
No, they want people thinking,
This is a cut above.
yeah. But then if they price it too high, they risk alienating their, you know, their core customers.
The people who've been buying Muranos for years.
Right. The people who want a reliable, stylish SUV.
Without having to, like, remortgage their house.
Yeah. It's got to be that sweet spot, right?
Finding that sweet spot is crucial.
Where people look at it and they're like, okay, that's a good deal.
That's a lot of car for the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's not just about the sticker price either. It's about,
Perceived value.
yes,
Yeah.
they've got to convince buyers that all these upgrades, the tech, the driving dynamics, all that, it's worth paying a little extra for.
It's that value proposition. That's what they need to nail.
And that's where things get tricky, because right now, we're just working with speculation.
Yeah, we don't have an official price yet.
All we've got is rumors and, educated guesses.
Exactly. And even when we do get an official price, it's just a starting point.
Right, because then you've got options, different trim levels, packages, all that.
All those add up quick.
They do. So when you're out there shopping, you got to look at the big picture.
The total cost of ownership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so for our listeners who are already doing the math in their heads,
Breaking out the calculators.
what's your gut feeling here? Based on everything we've talked about, what kind of price range are we looking at for the 2025 Murano?
It's tough to say for sure without seeing those official numbers, but
Sure.
given where the Murano sits in the market, right, they're aiming for that space between mainstream and luxury.
Right.
I think it's safe to say it will be priced competitively with other mid-size SUVs in its class.
Okay, so give us some examples. What are we talking about here?
Think Honda Passport, Toyota Venza,
Okay,
maybe even edging closer to the premium territory of an Acura RDX.
so not exactly chump change, but not like luxury car prices either.
Exactly, more like, I'm doing pretty well for myself, car prices.
Yeah, I like that. Which, again, that tracks with what Nissan's going for, right?
Ah,
They're trying to attract a buyer who appreciates quality, technology, a more refined driving experience, but who also doesn't want to spend, a fortune on a car.
exactly. They want that value proposition to be front and center.
So the million-dollar question, or maybe the billion-dollar question at this point is
kills.
it going to work?
Yeah.
Will this new Murano be the game changer Nissan clearly hopes it will be?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it?
It is, and only time will tell, but based on everything we've seen, what we've read, I think Nissan's got a real shot here.
They've got a lot of momentum going into this.
They do. They're pushing boundaries with the design, they're embracing technology in a big way, and it sounds like they haven't forgotten about the driving experience either.
All crucial things.
They are, and if they can deliver on all of that while keeping the price reasonable,
It's a big if.
it is a big if, but if they can pull it off, this 2025 Murano could be a real winner.
It could be huge for them.
No doubt about it. But enough from us. We want to hear from you, the listener.
Yeah, what do you think?
Are you as intrigued by this new Murano as we are? Do you think Nissan's on the right track?
Head over to our website, hit us up on social media,
Let us know your thoughts, because we love to hear from you guys.
and remember, knowledge is power.
Always.
So whether you're in the market for a new SUV right now, or just, keeping an eye on what's new in the car world, do your research, read those reviews.
Test drive.
Test drive.
Exactly. And most importantly, listen to your gut.
Couldn't agree more. Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive into the 2025 Nissan Murano.
It's been a journey.
It has, but a fun one. And we hope you found it informative, insightful.
Maybe even a little entertaining.
Always going to have a little fun, right? But for now, this is us saying goodbye. But as always,
Drive safely
drive curiously.
and drive with passion.
And we'll catch you on the next deep dive.